This is the 2020 YT DECOY Pro 29. Now I rode the original Decoy when it was launched last year, which had the mullet wheel setup. This is the new e-bike with 29-inch wheels and slightly less travel. Firstly, I cannot believe the size of the box. In fact, how small the box is. Now I've taken delivery of quite a few demo e-bikes, and this is an XXL bike in here, and it's by far the smallest box that I've ever received. So I'm quite intrigued to find out how they fit in an XXL e-bike in this box. It's Ghost Ship Green, which looks pretty sweet in the pictures. I've not seen it in the flesh, so I'm excited to take a look. And it's the Pro version. They do a couple of different versions, and this is the Pro. So what we'll do in this video is we'll get it out, we'll have a look at it, and we're in the Surrey Hills, and it is glorious, and we'll go for a little burn around and we'll see what the bike's like. By the way, when you buy the bike, YT give you a toolbox that they send in advance, but they told me it's already in here. So when you buy a YT, make sure we recycle those responsibly or keep them. When you buy a YT Decoy or any YT bike, in fact, they give you a little toolbox that they send that helps you assemble the bike. And they send that like a few days or a week ahead of when the bike gets there. Woo! Look at that. That is like that is pretty neat. When I send this back, I need to take pictures of this, because when I send this back, you know, it's like putting something back when you've taken it out of a box. That is neat. That is, yeah, that's some serious box skills that they've got going on right there. Toolbox, manuals, tools, technical. That's quite neat. Pop him on there. Let's take a look at this toolkit. I'm interested. I do like a good tool. Stickers, okay, shock pump. That's interesting, not all bikes come with a shock pump. What's this? Some carbon paste, which is used for like seat droppers and stuff like that. What's this? Okay, it's a torque wrench. That's well useful. So we have got a set of Maxxis tyres on some DT Swiss H1700 rims. I tell you what, I am really impressed with how they ship this to you. I know it's only a box, but you know when you buy something and you look forward to the day it arrives, and then it finally arrives, and it's exciting, isn't it? I'm excited. Oh, I'll tell you what, already I can see how lush this paintwork is. Oh, what's this? Oh, okay, so there are optional accessories you can buy when you get the bike. This is the First Master 2000. It's a water bottle. It's actually built up on some axle stands. I tell you what, the detail on this is like a gloss carbon on the outside of the seat stay and like a black matte inside. Just going to put that in there loose. So it's nice they give you this little tool. I'll just pop the rear mech on. Obviously I need to take the wheel out and put the chain through, but I'm going to do that in a second. So I'm just going to put everything in just kind of loose, just nip it up, and then I'll get everything set correctly and torqued correctly. It's already set up for like UK style riding with the brakes. And they're actually using my favourite combo of tyres, a Maxxis Minion DHR2 on the front and the rear in 2.4. I really like this setup. A lot of people see these and think they're rear only, but they're not. They can be used in the front and the rear. You get loads of braking traction, like crazy levels of braking traction. They've got massive side knobs on them, so you got loads of grip. Pop the axle back through, just tighten this rear axle up. Okay, sweet man, look at that. It's well nice, isn't it? Boom, one beautiful YT Decoy 29. And it looks sweet. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to get it set up for me. I'm going to get the suspension set up, the sag set up, my pedals on, check the tyre pressures, get all my controls and everything exactly where I want them, get the bars set where I want them. And then we'll go for a burn in the beautiful Surrey Hills. So the geometry on the bike has been revised to cater more for trail riding compared to the original Decoy. It's got a slightly steeper head angle and a longer chainstay. Now this should sharpen up the front end a little. The geometry is less aggressive than the more enduro-based Decoy, but although it's marketed as an all-mountain trail bike, I've no doubt that this would be a killer enduro bike too. It's super stiff and compliant. That Fox 36 front fork, paired with the carbon frame, feels sublime. Immediately I felt the bike could handle pretty much anything that was thrown at it. It's got 150mm travel at the front with 145mm at the rear, which works perfectly on the local trails here that I'm riding. Rear suspension feels nice and supple with decent feedback and a nice progression to it on bigger hits. YT include a flip chip where you can change the bottom bracket height and the head angle. In the lower position, it's at a fairly low height for an e-bike of 439mm, which give it a really nice feeling when cornering. With a head angle of 65.5 degrees, it's plenty slack enough for most of the rough stuff in the south of the UK. The combination of the max grip Maxxis DHR2 on the front, there's tons of traction, and the fast roll-in 29er wheels means the Decoy can munch up most of the terrain. Now the bike's got a longer chainstay than the original Decoy, but it still remained agile enough for the tighter, twistier sections on the trail. And one thing to note, this bike feels great for taller riders. With the long reach and long wheelbase, you feel like you're sat on a bike that gives huge amounts of stability. I'm 191cm and the bike felt really good, really balanced, and YT are amongst only a few e-bike manufacturers to take a trail bike reach above 500mm, 502 to be exact, so well done YT. So I've been riding this bike for the last 3-4 hours in the Surrey Hills, and I've got to say I am super impressed. Now, I rode the original Decoy last year, the mullet version, which is a little bit more extreme in terms of the geometry compared to this one. But this around these kind of trails has been absolutely outstanding. It is an absolute ripper. It's super quick. Come over here, we'll have a look around the bike and I'll show you in a little bit more detail. So we've got on the front Fox Performance Elite 36. Now the thing with this is it is basically the Fox factory without the Kashima. It's really stiff. It's got the grip to damper, and it just feels like a really burly fork that's well suited to this bike. Rims, DT Swiss H1700, decent rims, and DHR2 on the front, and this is a max grip, so it's a super soft, really sticky, little bit draggy, that's the only thing, but a really sticky, decent tyre. I personally use the DHR2 on the front and the rear of my bike, and I really like this setup. Decent rims, decent hubs, brakes, code RSC, strong stoppers with the contact point adjustment just on here. I really like these brakes. They work brilliantly, and it's plenty stopping power for this bike. The frame is a beautiful carbon. It's got a really nice finish to it. It's a really striking contrast between the frame, that kind of colour, and the black. This is where the battery goes. It's just a 540 watt-hour battery on the Decoy. It is like a custom built battery for YT. So the only thing is, if you want to carry a spare, I think it's quite difficult to get hold of like a spare battery because it's not just an off-the-shelf battery. So something to consider if you're going out doing big, long, all-day rides or multiple days and you haven't got access to a charger and you needed a spare battery, it might be difficult. And the battery is like almost semi-integrated into the frame. It's not fully integrated. It slides in, and there's a key just on this side around here to release the battery, and it charges just under there. So it's quite neat. I did think when I saw the original Decoy last year that might be susceptible to a bit of dirt and water ingress, but I've not had any feedback or seen anything from anybody suggesting that there's an issue with that. So quite well sealed. Cockpit, E13, bars, stem, it's really neat. Oh, the gears, by the way. I'm a massive fan of the Shimano XT. The shifting on it is superb, and I love the fact that you can upshift with your index finger just on there. Dropper, it's a YT dropper, it's called Postman. and it's a SDG saddle. Shock is the Fox DPX2, same as the factory version, but just without the Kashima. So it's got a little piggyback reservoir on here. It's the Performance Elite. The chainstay is 458mm, so climbs really well. And again, I think you are on an XXL. I just felt really centered on the bike, and the balance between the front and the rear I thought was brilliant. A lot of bikes, they have a carbon front triangle and an aluminium rear, but this is a carbon rear triangle as well. XT 12-speed cassette and XT rear mech, and again 29-inch DT Swiss, decent DT Swiss wheels and decent hubs to complete the bike, and then XT cranks and the Shimano E8000 motor. So Shimano E8000 motor's been around for a few years now. It's just a consistent performer. It's 70 newton meters of torque. It's not the most powerful. It does lack power compared to some competitors like the Bros Mag S. I can tell a difference on the climbs in boost mode, in the highest mode on this. It just doesn't have that same punch, but it has a real natural feeling to it. And there's a few modes and you can customize it. It's pretty lightweight, it's fairly compact, and it's just a good all-round system. And then it's paired to the little E7000 display, which is a small black and white display, which I like. I prefer the black and white display. I just think it's a bit neater, it's a bit smaller, it's not too in your face, and it's got the neat E7000 mode controller. This model is the Pro version, which is 4999. The race version is 3999. You get the same geometry, same motor, just a different component spec. So it is a seriously good bike. And again, typically YT, you get great value for money, carbon bikes, great looking bikes, well thought out geometry, up-to-date geometry. This is 502mm in reach for a trail bike is pretty cool. Now this is a long-term test bike, so I've got this for some time. I hope to do some events in the UK, some more riding. So this is just a first look at it, a first ride review. You know, I'll let you know my thoughts in the future, but if there's anything you want to know, pop it in the comments. And if you like this kind of content, let me know with a thumbs up, and subscribe for weekly e-bike videos, and I'll catch up with you all soon.